right, time to get up and get going. It is November the 16th, 46 days left in the year. This is your daily devotional, your thought for the day. 10 minutes together. And if you're new here to the channel, we'd love it if you'd click a like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. All right, let's get going with the scripture of the day. Psalm 4, verse 8. I will lay both me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Some good encouragement today. Reading the Bible in the year, for those of you that are doing it, you're up to Ezekiel 3 to 4 and Hebrews chapter 11, verses 20 to 40. Here's your thoughts for the day. When the people are free to do as they please, they usually imitate each other. It's the old blind leading the blind. All right, there are only two types of scholars, those who love ideas and those who hate them. Dost thou love life? Then do not squander time, for that is the stuff that life is made of. Motivation of the day. Be a fountain, not a drain. On this day in history in 1907, Oklahoma becomes the 46th state of the United States of America. 1920, the Bolsheviks defeat the White Russians in Crimea, thus ending Russia's civil war and solidifying communism. 1959, Rodgers and Hammerstein musical, The Sound of Music, opens on Broadway. 1965, the USSR and Soviet Union launches spacecraft Venus 3, which is an unmanned craft, and that's going to successfully land on Venus. 1995, in Britain, the Queen Mother, and she's aged 95, has hip replacement surgery in London. In 2015, the largest diamond discovered in more than a century, a 1,111 carat stone, was found in Karawai mine in Botswana. Here's your personal story for today. I promised to quit quitting. 3 of the easiest words to utter are, I give up. Often they are said when expectations are not met. You expected something, you didn't get it, tried, but finally gave up. That happens with things like service at a takeaway or information on a software problem or with trying to get something repaired, doing some maintenance around the house. That's it, I give up. I'm going to call the repair person. But it should never be said with regard to God. If ever someone had a reason to say to God, I give up, it would have been Job. Remember we did that study a couple of months ago? But he did not. Instead, he said, as surely as God lives, Job 27, verse 2. And I encourage you, if you haven't followed this study, you can go back a few months, and we have the playlist set up by month, and go through the whole study of Job. It's a good one. Though difficult to utter, these words are among the most important ones that a person can ever say. They are perhaps the most solemn oath a person can utter, and in Job's case, demonstrated his continued faith despite his circumstances. Job could have given up. He even mentioned the bitterness that he had tasted, the justice that had been denied, both from God. Despite this, he began his statements with an oath that called upon God. Even in the hardest of circumstances, Job's faith in God continued. Faith is easier when things are going well. We more readily acknowledge God in our words when we can see his blessing on us. It doesn't take much, though, to see the blessing. Sometimes it's that little glimmer of light that can give us hope. But faith is not just the good times, it's for all times. And the most effective is at the worst time imaginable. And here's your next thought. In gratitude, Exodus 15:24, and the people murmured against Moses, saying, what shall we drink? Now, isn't that just the case? You just think of that verse and you think, again, we've been over this. Here they are, they're set free from mud bricks, slavery, and across the promised land, they've just seen all these miracles happen, and they start grumbling in the wilderness. Well, here's another story that you might find interesting. Hot and cold springs are found side by side in some parts of Mexico. And because of the convenience of this natural phenomenon, women often bring their laundry to such places so they can boil their clothes in the hot springs and then rinse them in the cold one. Well, a tourist who was watching this procedure commented to his Mexican guide, "I can imagine they think Mother Nature, or God, is pretty generous to supply ample supply of clean, hot, and cold water here side by side for their free use." The guide replied, "No, senor, there is much grumbling because she supplies no soap." Can you imagine? You got hot and cold water, but no soap. Well, ingratitude is not limited to peasants that might miss that understanding. The children of Israel demonstrated that same attitude, didn't they? God had performed the awe-inspiring miracles. He had slain the firstborn of Egypt so that Pharaoh would free the Israelites, and passed over any home that had the blood on the doorposts. He had provided a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire at night to guide their journey. He'd opened the Red Sea for them to cross and brought it crashing down on the Egyptian army pursuing them. Yet, when they faced their first problem, instead of trusting God, they turned to complaining. "Why'd you bring us out here?" Oh my. Times of need are times for praying, not complaining. Complaining says to God, "You aren't taking very good care of me." Prayer says to God, "I may not understand what's happening, but I trust you to take care of this for me." Do you feel life is treating you unfairly? Maybe you do. Are you tempted to complain? Well, try this. Take a pen and a paper and list some of the marvelous things God has already done in your life. Maybe He provided you your salvation. Of course He did. A healing, support a family member, a testimony that you've heard. Then look with confidence that He will provide for your situation today as well. And then take that petition, put it before the Lord, lay it down before the altar, and expect that God will bless it with the prayer fulfilled. Short one today. Here's your facts for the day. Did you know the oldest piece of chewing gum is about 9,000 years old? And this is a stat I find astounding, but apparently Americans eat about 18 billion hot dogs a year. Here's your closing thought. Who sees us in our weakness and loves us anyway? Well, if you can guess, you're on top of it. All right, here's some fun little quips here for you to end off with. Did you know no matter how much you push the envelope, it's still going to be stationary? And a dog gave birth to puppies near the road and got fined for littering. 2 silkworms had a race. Yeah, they ended up in a tie. You've heard this one before, but atheism, it's a non-profit organization. 2 hats were hanging on the hat rack in the hallway. One hat said to the other, "You stay here, I'll go on ahead." A chicken crossing the road? Well, that's poultry in motion. The short fortune teller who escaped from prison. Short fortune teller who escaped from prison is a small medium at large. And when cannibals ate a missionary, they got a taste of religion. That's all I got. Thanks for coming. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.